All right, history fans, welcome back to another deep dive with us. And this time we're going way, way back to ancient Egypt.
Buckle up.
Yeah, so make sure you got your metaphorical sunblock ready because it's going to get pretty intense.
Yeah, and bring your curiosity and an open mind because we're about to unearth some seriously fascinating stuff about ancient Egyptian life.
I'm Hari, your guide for this historical adventure.
And I'm Kimi here to help, Hari decode the mysteries and bring those ancient stories to life.
Yeah, I'm already feeling the urge to rock a linen headdress after prepping for this deep dive.
Right?
I mean, those ancient Egyptians, they really knew how to make a statement with their fashion.
Totally.
Okay. But all jokes aside today, we're taking a trip back in time to this amazingly well-preserved tomb of Ka and Merit, a couple who lived during the mid-18th dynasty.
A period of, powerful pharaohs and magnificent temples.
Yeah, and as we'll soon find out, a surprisingly detailed look into the lives of everyday people.
It's amazing what survives, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All these little details that bore their world to life.
Totally. And we're pulling all of our insights today from the Wikipedia article on their tomb.
Yeah, which honestly is a goldmine of information.
It really is. So let's set the stage for this journey.
Okay.
Imagine you're in Deir el-Medina,
Okay.
this bustling village on the west bank of the Nile,
Hmm.
across from modern-day Luxor.
Hmm.
And this wasn't just any village.
Right.
It was like a community specifically created for the artisans and workers who built and decorated those incredible royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings.
Those monumental final resting places. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's really mind-blowing when you think about it. Their skill and artistry, they were so essential in shaping the iconic imagery and structures that we connect with ancient Egypt.
Yeah, it's like the level of dedication and precision that must have gone into those projects.
Totally.
I mean, it's been incredibly challenging, but also incredibly rewarding.
For sure.
So let's meet the stars of our deep dive,
Yes.
Ka and Merit.
A power couple.
Yeah, a couple whose lives and legacies have been preserved in this way that really gives us this unique window into their time.
Totally. So Khan, he wasn't just any worker in this village.
Right.
He had this impressive title,
Okay.
overseer of works in the great place.
Which basically means he was like the foreman in charge of the construction and decoration of these royal tombs.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about an impressive resume.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about his background.
Right.
How did this man rise through the ranks to hold such a prominent position in this very structured ancient Egyptian society?
Well, it definitely says something about his skill and dedication and probably his ability to lead too,
Yeah.
to manage those teams of artisans and laborers to make sure that, the pharaoh's final resting place was top notch.
Right, exactly. And his achievements did not go unnoticed.
Not at all.
Over his lifetime, he got these amazing gifts from the pharaohs themselves.
Tokens of appreciation.
Yeah, exactly, like a gilded cubit rod.
Which is basically a fancy measuring tool showing off his authority and precision.
That's a status symbol for sure.
Yeah, a gilded cubit rod.
But we can't forget about the lady of the house,
Of course not.
Ka's wife, Merit. So what can you tell us about her life and her role in their community?
Well, while her specific duties aren't explicitly written down,
Right.
her title, Lady of the House, is pretty telling. It suggests she had a position of respect.
Yeah.
And probably some authority within the family and, maybe even in the wider community of Deir el-Medina.
Interesting. And they had a family together, right?
Yeah. They raised 3 children.
Okay.
And a daughter also named Merit,
Oh, wow.
after her mother.
Oh,
Just a little glimpse into family life amidst all this grandeur,
yeah, exactly. It really humanizes them. It
Yeah.
shows that even in this ancient civilization, family and community and tradition were still so important.
Absolutely. And there's something really poignant about their story. Merit actually died before Khan, probably while she was still quite young in her 20s or 30s, leaving behind her husband and kids.
Wow, that must have been so difficult for them.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even with all the splendor and ritual surrounding death in ancient Egypt, the loss of someone you loved still carrying the same weight of grief as it does today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But their tomb, TT8, as it's known, gives us this amazing opportunity to explore how the ancient Egyptians prepared for the afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
And the story of how it was discovered is almost as captivating as the artifacts inside.
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
It's 1906. You're part of Ernesto Schiaparelli's excavation team.
Okay.
You're diligently searching through the sands of Deir el-Medina.
Okay.
Weeks, maybe even months have passed, and you found tomb after tomb.
Uh-huh.
But sadly, most of them have been robbed,
Um,
leaving behind only like scraps of their former glory.
it's like solving a mystery,
Yeah,
but the key pages have been ripped out of the book.
exactly. It's like so close yet so far.
Yeah.
But then in this landscape of looted tombs, they stumbled upon something incredible.
What was it?
A completely intact burial chamber,
Wow.
sealed for over 3,000 years.
Like frozen in time.
Exactly, just waiting to be rediscovered.
I can only imagine what that moment must have been like.
Yeah, to be the first to see a tomb untouched for millennia.
Right, like a direct portal into the past.
The accounts from back then talk about this feeling of awe.
Hmm.
Like the excavators were struck by how fresh everything looked.
Really?
The vibrant colors. It was like the tomb had been sealed just recently.
Wow, that's incredible. It really speaks to the skill of the ancient Egyptians and how much they believed in the afterlife.
Yeah, totally.
It's almost like stepping into a time capsule.
I know, right?
This tangible connection to a civilization that's still captivating us today.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what secrets this tomb held.
And those secrets are
Yeah.
exactly what we're about to uncover as we dive into the incredible artifacts found inside.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's unlock this treasure chest of history and see what awaits us.
Let's go.
Okay, so we're going even deeper into this incredibly well-preserved tomb.
Deeper fear.
It's like we're peeling back these layers of time, revealing all these intimate details of Khan and Merit's lives.
Right down to like their everyday stuff.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to start,
Okay.
with the objects they chose to surround themselves with,
Right, because even the mundane things can tell us so much.
Exactly. It gives us a glimpse into their routines and their tastes.
What they valued.
Yeah, and I've got to say I'm fascinated by Khan's toolkit.
Yeah, his toolkit's pretty cool.
It's not every day you find a foreman's toolkit from over 3,000 years ago.
I know, and it's in such great condition.
Yeah, so well preserved.
You can almost picture him using those tools on the pharaoh's tomb.
I know, it's amazing.
We're talking chisels, drills, and even this rare folding wooden cubit rod tucked away in its own little leather pouch.
That was so cool.
It shows you how much they cared about precision and craftsmanship.
Right. And I wonder if he was proud of his tools.
Yeah.
Like, did he ever imagine that thousands of years later, we'd be looking at them in awe?
Right. Trying to understand his life through them.
And it's not just Ka's tools that give us insights. Merit's belongings paint this really vivid picture, too.
Yeah, like this woman who clearly cared about her appearance.
Right.
Took pride in her things.
And they found her cosmetics and beauty tools in this beautifully decorated box.
Yeah, a testament to the fact that people have always wanted to express themselves,
I know, it's so true.
through how they look.
It's a timeless human desire.
Totally.
I can just imagine what was in that box.
Yeah, like kohl to line her eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Oils and ointments for her skin. Maybe even perfumes and rouge.
So cool.
The pursuit of beauty that transcends time and culture.
Yeah, and that they were kept in a decorated box,
Yeah, it wasn't just practical.
Right, it was about aesthetics.
Maybe even a sense of identity.
Right, yeah.
Speaking of personal style, both Khan and Merit had these big wardrobes
Really?
full of clothes like linen loincloths, tunics, and shawls.
Interesting.
Which might surprise some people because they think ancient Egyptian society was so rigid.
Yeah, it challenges our assumptions for sure.
Right, we tend to associate wealth and luxury just with pharaohs and the elite.
Yeah.
But here we have a foreman and his wife
Living comfortably.
accumulating possessions that show they were doing pretty well for themselves.
It's a reminder that even in a structured society, there was room for social mobility.
Yeah, and economic success.
And that life for everyday people was much more nuanced than we often think.
For sure.
But their possessions weren't just about comfort and style,
Oh,
They also reflected this deep belief in the afterlife.
yeah, absolutely.
And this is so clear when you look at the huge amount and variety of food they were buried with.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have to admit, this part always fascinates me.
Me too.
This whole idea that they would equip themselves for the afterlife like they were going on a long journey.
Right. Like they needed all the provisions they could get.
Exactly. It
Mm.
really shows how deeply they believed in what came next.
They weren't just burying their dead. They were
Right.
providing for them
Yes, setting them up to thrive in the next world.
with a menu that would satisfy anyone.
So paint us a picture. What kind of food did they pack for this eternal feast?
Okay, so imagine tables piled high with bread,
Okay.
baked in all different shapes and sizes,
Mm.
round, flat, triangular, some even shaped like animals.
Wow, so even their bread was artistic and symbolic.
Exactly. They found meaning in everything.
Okay, but I'm guessing it wasn't just bread, right?
Oh, definitely not.
What else?
They found amphorae.
Those tall jars.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
What was in those?
Wine, carefully labeled with the year and place of origin.
Like vintage wine.
Exactly, an ancient wine collection.
That's amazing.
And then there were bowls overflowing with salted fish,
Okay.
chunks of meat, even roasted birds,
It sounds delicious.
all meticulously preserved.
Wow, a feast fit for a king.
Or a foreman and his wife.
Yeah, exactly. But did they include any sides?
Oh, yeah, they thought of everything.
What else was there?
Bundles of garlic and onions, baskets of cumin seeds, jars of seasoned greens, even dried fruits like grapes, dates, and figs. A real balance of flavors and textures.
And here's the really cool part.
Yeah.
Researchers have used modern science to analyze the contents of those jars.
Yeah, like mass spectrometry.
And they've actually identified the ingredients.
It's like culinary time travel.
I know, we can almost taste those ancient flavors.
It's amazing.
But did they also pack any cooking supplies?
Of course.
They weren't just going to eat a cold buffet for all eternity.
Exactly. Yeah. Alongside the food, they pack things like oil and salt.
The essential.
And get this, they even packed dried cow dung.
Cow dung?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's something I'd want in my pantry.
Well, it was their fuel.
Oh, like for their fire?
Yeah, to keep the kitchen going in the afterlife.
Interesting.
It just shows that even in the realm of the divine, practicality was important.
It really does bring their story to life.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't just these figures from the past.
Right.
They were real people with practical concerns and culinary preferences.
Yeah. And this deep belief in being prepared even for the afterlife.
But speaking of the afterlife, we haven't even talked about the mummies themselves.
The heart of the tomb.
What can you tell us about Khan and Merit's final resting state?
Well, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Both Khan and Merit's bodies were found undisturbed in their coffins.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Schiaparelli, the lead excavator, decided not to unwrap them.
Really? Why not?
It's not totally clear, but it might have been out of respect.
Oh.
Or maybe because preservation techniques weren't so advanced back then.
Right. This was the early 1900s.
Yeah, archaeology was still developing.
But don't worry, we can still learn about the mummies.
Oh, yeah.
How?
Thanks to technology.
Okay, so how do we see beneath of the bandages without disturbing them?
X-rays and CT scans.
Huh?
They let us see through layers of time and wrappings.
It's like having X-ray vision.
I know, right?
So what did they reveal about Khan Merit?
Well, the scans were done in 1966, 2002, 2014, and 2016. And they showed that neither Khan nor Merit was embalmed in the typical way.
Oh, what do you mean?
Usually they removed the internal organs and put them in canopic jars.
Right.
But with Khan and Merit, their organs were left intact.
Wow.
So at first, researchers thought they weren't embalmed at all.
Just buried without any preservation.
Yeah, but then they did some chemical analysis of the mummy wrappings, and it turns out they were embalmed.
Oh.
Just not in the usual way.
So how were they embalmed?
They used these unique recipes.
Really?
With ingredients like plant extracts, gums, resins, and even beeswax.
Beeswax.
Yeah.
That's a surprise.
It wasn't just any beeswax.
Right.
It was part of this carefully crafted recipe,
Okay.
probably to help preserve the bodies.
So even though they weren't mummified in the traditional way,
Yeah.
they still put a lot of effort into preparing their bodies for the afterlife.
It's like they were experimenting with new techniques.
It shows that ancient Egyptian burial practices were actually quite diverse.
Way more complex than we often think.
Yeah, and it reminds us to never underestimate ancient cultures.
No, they're full of surprises.
But these mummies aren't just silent relics. You know, they carry the stories of their lives.
Literally etched into their bones.
So what can the scans tell us about their health?
Okay, so based on the scans, Khan probably died in his 60s,
Okay.
which was a good age back then.
Yeah.
He was tall, over 5.5 feet, with a strong build.
Sounds like he lived an active life.
But his bones show signs of wear and tear.
Like what?
Arthritis in his knees and lower back.
Oh, wow.
Worn down teeth and even a fractured vertebra.
Oh.
Maybe from all that construction work.
It sounds like he worked hard,
He did.
but he still lived to a pretty good age.
It shows his resilience.
And maybe he had access to some decent health care.
Possibly.
And what about Merit?
Well, her story, as we know, was cut short.
Yeah.
She died much younger, probably between 25 and 35.
The scans show that she was petite, under 5 feet tall.
And her bones also have signs of challenges in her life.
Like what kind of challenges?
Well, we don't know the exact cause of death,
Okay.
but she had tooth loss and cavities, which suggests dental health was a common problem.
Even in a civilization known for its advancements in medicine.
Right. It's a reminder that they faced everyday ailments, just like we do.
It really humanizes them.
Yeah.
We see them as individuals who lived, loved, suffered.
It would eventually succumb to time.
And maybe those shared experiences, those universal parts of being human, are what make their stories so relatable, even after all this time.
Yeah, we see ourselves in their struggles, their joys, their hopes, their losses.
Exactly. But along with those universal experiences,
Right?
there are also elements that were uniquely ancient Egyptian.
For sure.
Things that set them apart from us.
That intrigue us.
Yeah, that make us think differently about what it means to be human.
And I think that's really evident in the beautiful jewelry they were buried with.
Oh yeah, tell me about the jewelry.
Those adornments that went beyond life and death.
And probably had a lot of meaning. Okay, so what did they find?
Well, on Ka's mummy, they found a gold of honor.
What's that?
It's a single-strand necklace
Okay.
made of these large gold disc beads.
Mhm.
It's called a shibu collar.
Wait, a shibu collar.
Yeah,
Didn't you say that was something the pharaoh would give to people for exceptional service?
exactly. It was a symbol of royal favor.
So Ka was buried with this prestigious collar.
He was.
Wow, that really says something about his standing.
It does.
It's like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Proof that even in a hierarchical society like ancient Egypt,
Yeah,
hard work could be recognized and rewarded.
definitely.
But was that the only jewelry he was wearing?
Well, some researchers think that single strand might have been part of a much bigger collar
Really?
with multiple strands.
Wow.
Like a symbol of all the recognition he received over his lifetime.
We'd have to unwrap the mummy to be sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But it adds to the mystery.
Totally.
Okay, what about Merit?
Oh, she had some amazing jewelry, too.
What kind of...
Well, remember how she was buried in a coffin that was originally made for Ka?
Yeah, a poignant reminder of their love.
Well, even though the coffin was repurposed,
Right.
she was still laid to rest with some incredible adornments,
Like what?
including this magnificent cartonnage mummy mask.
Wow, a mummy mask.
Yeah.
And it's probably originally meant for Ka.
That's the theory.
So he basically gave her his own mummy mask.
It's a beautiful thought,
It really is.
a sign of their love.
And that she would need this for her journey to the afterlife.
Yeah.
What did it look like?
It was covered in gold leaf,
Wow.
with inlaid eyes made of alabaster and obsidian.
Must have been stunning.
Sadly, it got damaged because it was too big for her head.
Oh, that's a
But
shame.
you can still see the craftsmanship.
So what other jewelry did she have?
She also had this elaborate broad collar
Okay.
made with carnelian turquoise and a blue paste that imitated lapis lazuli.
Wow.
And she had multiple pairs of earrings, rings, and a beaded girdle.
That's a lot of jewelry.
It shows how important adornment was, even in death.
And maybe a desire to be like the elite.
Possibly.
It's a reminder that status symbols were important.
Even for those who weren't born into royalty.
But it's not just the beauty of the jewelry that's interesting, is it?
No.
It's the stories they tell,
Yeah.
the connections they reveal.
And there's one thing about Merit's jewelry that has archaeologists particularly excited.
What is it?
It might connect her to the royal family,
Wait, really?
which could change how we view Khan and Merit's place in society.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more. So we've explored this amazing tomb. We've seen all this incredible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're talking about a potential link to royalty.
Yeah,
I mean, that could really change everything.
it could.
So let's get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
What's so special about Merit's broad collar?
Well, it's not just that it's beautiful.
Okay.
It's that it's similar to collars found in a very specific royal burial.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell
Yeah.
me more.
All right, so these similar collars were found in the tomb of 3 foreign wives of Thutmose III.
Thutmose III.
Yeah.
And he ruled way before Khan and Merit, right?
Decades earlier.
So how do those collars end up with a seemingly ordinary family?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, it's like a historical puzzle.
It is.
So what are the theories?
Okay, so one theory
Yeah.
is that the collar was passed down through Ka's family.
So like a family heirloom
Exactly.
with a royal connection.
It would mean that Khan had this link to royalty.
Wow, that's amazing.
It adds a whole new layer to their story.
It really does.
But there's another theory.
Okay, what's that?
Well, it focuses on Ka's career and the favor he had with the pharaohs.
Right, he did receive some pretty impressive gifts,
He did.
like that gilded cubit rod.
Yeah.
So could the collar have been another gift
Possibly a gesture of gratitude?
from someone connected to Thutmose III?
Maybe.
It would make sense considering his relationship with the royal court.
And here's another interesting thing.
What's that?
Merit's collar is also similar to collars shown on the coffin and mummy mask of Thuya.
Thuya.
Yeah, the mother-in-law of Amenhotep III.
Wait, another royal connection.
So now we've got potential links to Thutmose III's wives and Amenhotep III's mother-in-law.
It's like this web of connections to royalty.
Yeah.
So what does it all mean?
Honestly, we might never know for sure.
Right. The historical record is incomplete.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
But that's what makes history so fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
Those unanswered questions.
It sparks our curiosity.
Yeah. And it makes Ka and Merit's story even more captivating.
We can imagine all the possibilities.
And connect with them on a deeper level.
It's not just about facts and dates, you know.
It's about understanding their lives,
Their relationships.
their hopes and dreams.
And their legacy.
We started this journey in Deir el-Medina with these skilled artisans.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to their incredible tomb, we've gotten to know Ka and Merit.
This ordinary yet extraordinary couple.
They show us that ancient Egyptian society was so much richer and more diverse than we often think.
Absolutely.
We've seen their tools, their clothes, the food they packed for the afterlife,
Their jewelry.
and we've even learned about their health and their potential connections to royalty.
Their story reminds us that history is about people.
Yeah.
It's not just about pharaohs and pyramids.
So as we leave the tomb of Ka and Merit, let's remember that their lives still resonate with us today.
They offer insights into the human experience.
They transcend time and culture.
So next time you see an ancient artifact or a historical document,
Yeah.
remember that it's part of a story.
A story just waiting to be explored.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Ka and Merit,
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
and that you'll keep exploring the wonders of ancient Egypt.
Keep those minds curious and stay tuned for our next deep dive.